Previously in the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup.
We are go in round one here in Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup for 2025. Overhouse leading Levy. They are nose to tail, contact and a spin. What huge drama in this race.
Oh, mate.
Side by side and fully committed. Good move. Wide goes Stiak and through the gravel.
Gus Burton, he's almost pushing Seb Freimut from pole position to a first win for Teo Overhouse.
Well, what a way to start season 33 it was 1 week ago, and luckily we're back straight away for qualifying in round 2 of the championship, the most important qualifying session of the season around one of the most prestigious events on the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup calendar. Well, it is great to have your company. Hello everyone and welcome to this challenging circuit which requires lots of skill from the drivers in the field. We cannot wait for this session to get underway. You can hear Porsche engines revving and getting themselves prepared in the background, and it means that we are going to take you up here into the commentary box with our live timings up in gear and us ticking down on the clock here in the Super Cup. And this is going to be a really exciting session. Cannot wait for this one to get underway. Lots of action to come our way, and it's going to be action-packed from start to finish. As a Super Cup qualifying session is, the teams, the drivers will need to think about the possibilities that there always is of red flags having an interference as well. So it's all on the line and anything is possible. We're taking a look at Jaap van Lagen, who was a winner here in Monaco in 2015. That is also the last time where he was the driver who was our pole sitter when he took, that was his last pole, I should say rather, as well. So great stuff from Jaap van Lagen around this circuit, all the way back in 2015 though. What a story it would be to return back to pole today and possibly give himself the best opportunity to get the race victory. So we are the final on-track action here on Friday. They are trundling around on their outlaps at the moment. The yellow flags could be something to keep an eye on as well, but I would like to open up our broadcast, I think we absolutely have to, by wishing Aldo Frastante a speedy recovery. So he is of course a driver who was involved in that massive crash, which we're going to discuss a little bit more in detail over at Imola at the race start. And Aldo Frastante, who injured his shoulder in the crash at the start at Imola, has had to step away from this round, and it means that he is being replaced by a driver who we have seen at this level, who we have covered at this level in the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup, Gianmarco Curazmini. So looking forward to seeing what he can do. But yes, disappointing for Aldo Frastante, but most of all, it is great to hear that he's making a speedy recovery, and hopefully he'll be back to join us in a week's time when the Super Cup returns after 5 years to Barcelona.
Yeah,
right now at the moment, let's hear from Oliver Schwab.
The cup racing in Monaco is, well, I think especially the speed going through the corners. I mean, in Formula Cars you got of course the downforce, but I think in cup racing the braking is a lot more difficult because it's quite easy to lock up the front, easier than what I think than in single seaters. No, and I think the second biggest difference is especially in the cup racing. It's quite nice that you can just jump a little bit more over these curves. So that's also quite a big difference than in Formula Cars.
Yeah, apologies. The graphic was momentarily wrong. Not Oliver Schwab, it was Cas Havercourt, the driver who found himself finishing third 1 week ago at Imola. A superb performance. The top three basically were in this race where they were just able to pull away and do their own thing. Basically, pretty much, they were just able to pull away, do their own thing, and just get on with it. Everyone else was scrapping behind. The top three had a very great advantage by the time that they finished the opening sector, of course, with everyone else involved from 4th downwards, Marvin Klin and all of those drivers involved, so it created a big buffer. But yeah, the top 3 were just dominant all the way through. An absolutely brilliant performance by Teo Overhouse, of course, to win, Ariel Levy to get 2nd, and Cass Havercourt to get 3rd. Now, some of the insight that Cass Havercourt is providing, very good insight, of course, because he's a driver who's come from single-seaters. So, he's a driver who's come from single-seaters racing at the Frecker level, I remember. So, he's a driver who will know the difference from moving from single-seaters over to these cars. A similar thing to what Lirum Zendelli had last year, if you remember, the driver who used to compete in the Formula 2 level. Not with us this year, but he did join as well. So it's a lot more different, and especially around a circuit like this, I think I can definitely see where he's coming from in terms of his thoughts heading into corners. Okay, here we go. Here's Oliver Schwab.
We can go back all the way to our first race in 1993. And besides running there for the first time, what made it very special for us is that we had a very prominent VIP starter, the later F1 world champion Mika Häkkinen, who in fact did very well and won the first race ever here.
He absolutely did Mika Häkkinen, and it's great to see these, well, talented people of the F1 world also came here in the Supercup to show their talent. I mean, we have, of course, had Timo Glock come to this. Is that Glock? Absolutely it was, for a race last year, so that was quite a lot of fun. And then we were talking about how Bert Mylander was a winner in the Supercup at Imola 1 week ago. So it's great that every round we go to, there's always something different to talk about, and always something that has been going on and happening, which is always really, really nice to see as well as we make our way then through. So Robert Dehan pushing on, he's making his way through the hairpin in the pink Lechner Racing colours. Very disappointing for him. The start of the season he had to find himself spinning. Absolutely nothing he could have done there. Was contact with Alexander Tauscher. So of course Alexander Tauscher made contact with Marvin Klin, and then Tauscher's car clipped Dehan. It's just an unfortunate one. Nothing he could have done. I mean, that applies to a lot of drivers, that there was nothing that they could have done in that incident. A Constantino effect. But Robert Dehan really unlucky, but it does mean that he found himself with no points scored, and he is looking to fight back, arriving to the streets of Monte Carlo. If he can get pole, that would be a good way to give himself that opportunity to stay out of chaos, because it is Monaco. In 2021 here we did have a pile-up. We had a roadblock yesterday also in practice momentarily. Even these little minor roadblocks, not what you want, because when everyone's applying the brakes, it can be quite costly. 1 minute 34.707 is the lap time that's set by Robert Dehan. Huub van Eindhoven in second. Jaap van Lagen takes over that second place, so that's a good improvement there. Coming in from him, Overhouse to fourth, make that fifth as Tauscher goes to second, now third. Havercourt improves as well. Let's take a look at a bit of a slow-mo with Robert Dehan. If you are synced up with us, is it going to be over the sausage curves? We love a bit of sausage curves here at JB Motorsports swimming pool section, and that's exactly what Havercourt was also talking us through, that you can ride those curves a little bit more. So in the Supercup, in the Supercup, let's just say it can be a little bit appealing when they're flying over curves and it's all action across the circuit, but yeah, not for single seaters, at all. So through the tunnel we go. Brasky to 11th position, Ariel Levy to 7th. We've had a lap time being deleted further back. I think that's Keegan Masters in the number 18 who has just had a lap time deleted as well. Huub van Eindhoven close to the wall. Jaap van Lagen improving as well in the first sector. It's a 5, nearly 6-10 advantage between Dehan and Havercourt. Those are your top two at the moment. Fieldback has also had a lap time deleted, so we're seeing a couple of lap times be deleted for the field. Teo Overhouse, our pole sitter last time out of Porsche Junior as well, and he was immediately able to show why he's been picked, why he's been selected as a Porsche Junior with what he was able to display last time out. Okay, across the line we go with Van Eindhoven, and he is the second quickest driver. Van Lagen looks in the mix. He's in second, only for a moment though, as he gets beaten by his teammate Teo Overhouse. So we've got Proton Huber competition, third and fourth at this stage. Havercourt back to second place. So the order continuing to fluctuate, continuing to change as we come out of the final corner. That is going to be a great lap coming in for Keegan Masters as well. He's found the improvement after getting a lap time deleted. Ascona to 10th, Jabber to 12th, Boracams to 13th. And so far in the session, we have avoided the yellow flags. And right as I say that, there is a yellow flag on the circuit. Okay, we're going to take a look at the replay first. It's going to be more over the sausage curbs. And this time around, it was for the number 20 of Francesco Braschi. And further back, Ariel Levy, who was making his way through. We're going to get a better view of it now as he went flying momentarily over the sausage curb. I'm interested to see what that yellow flag is for, though. I was quite surprised. We've had some push laps. We didn't see a yellow, but right when I said that, we do have a yellow on the circuit. Oh, no, we've got a couple of cars off. That is the Hideka Racing of Aaron Mason who's off. We have also got another driver off the road. That is going to be the number 16 of Matisse Jalbert. And who is that car who's just gone straight down? It's one of our GP Elite drivers and contenders who's found themselves straight into the barrier. We'll try identify for you in a second. We're getting a message of track surface slippery in sector 6, so that's important. Okay, we could be getting to the red flag soon, who knows. Havercourt though is right now in 4th. Who Van Eindhoven is in 2nd. Moving up, there is Theo Overhouse. He misses out by 0.03 of a second. Alexander Tauscher goes quickest of all. So Tauscher now to the top. He had the fastest middle sector. The yellow flags are still flying around this circuit. Does it turn into a green? Jalbert waiting to rejoin. This yellow flag will be impacting laps out there at the moment. So the drivers making their way through that part of the lap, which is right before the hairpin. They're going to be getting affected into Mirabeau. Okay, Jalbert's got back going. He was the final car, I think. But a big moment. The yellow flags are out once again. I wonder whether that's for the same incident. Who knows? Okay, let's take a look at a replay of how this possibly happened. Well, that's one of our GP Elite drivers who has leaked oil. So he's hit the barrier. Okay, so he hits the barrier. And then coming down to the braking zone, all of the oil's going to be leaked. Havercourt is going to go off the road. One of our contenders. Well, there we have confirmation of who it was. We were looking to see which GP Elite driver it was. We couldn't get the view. But it's Cas Havercourt who's gone off the road. The red flag is flying. And he has leaked oil onto the circuit. Which is exactly why we saw so many contenders go off the road. And Michele Scona, I should say rather. I've just noticed. It wasn't Aaron Mason, it was Michele Scona who went off the road. But Cas Havercourt, okay, so his car's being recovered now. Oh, that has to hurt. That really has to hurt for Havercourt. And that is the margins that we're talking about on the streets of Monte Carlo, where you're pushing on so hard, it can just be a little graze of the wall. And by the time that you hit the brakes for the next corner, you aren't able to, and you go straight on, leaking oil onto the circuit, which everyone else has to collect and finds themselves going off as well. But disappointment for GP Elite and Cas Havercourt. They knew that they had a chance of a good result, and Havercourt was a driver, which, I mean, you can immediately tell. I feel like quick drivers, you can immediately tell who's looking confident, who's not, like who's in contention and stuff like that, because it looked like that Havercourt was always up there, so you would put him in your little mix for pole position later on. So to see that chance now fade away, GP Elite will turn their attention and hope for Road to Boracams, Samar Shaheen, Jonas Greif, or our second place finisher from last time out, Ariel Levy, to come up with something. And Hugo Van Eindhoven. And don't forget our lead GP Elite driver. He's so hard I didn't even see him. Oh, brilliant. Okay, the recovery procedure goes on. A brilliant recovery procedure. It was a little bit too calm, wasn't it, though? I had to mention about the yellows. Okay, we're going to head marshals onto the circuit and clear some of the oil. We thank all of our marshals as usual. We aren't able to go motor racing safely without them. We aren't able to go motor racing at all without them. So it is... so we of course say a huge thank you to the ones who always dedicate their times to make racing events like this happen and basically put themselves in danger. This is not an easy job, and we appreciate absolutely everything that they do for us, and especially the ones at Monaco, because they make it quick. I can tell you this right now, around a circuit like this where everyone is so close to the wall, across F3, F2, F1, Porsche Supercup, you are going to see drivers find the barrier. You are going to see lots of reds, safety cars, yellows, especially in practice, especially in qualifying. It's very important. It's very important that the cars are cleared quickly to make sessions happen on time, especially for the support series. I mean, you know, F1, no matter how long the red flag is, that'll of course get prioritized. That will always happen. But for F2, F3 and the Super Cup, if we were to have long delays, we are losing session time, we are losing track time. Luckily for this session, we don't actually have any other session after this. We're the last thing on the day, so no matter how long we have it, I mean, maybe at some point they do call it off, because they won't let it run forever, but you get what I mean. Like, there's not like a proper window that they absolutely need to be dead stopped by. So, and then of course they will turn it off if we were to get to the late night, but no, we're not getting there to sunset. We're not going to be getting there to that point. Okay, Sama Shaheen has been noted for the red flag infringement. The green flags are about to be waved around this circuit. Everyone queuing in the pit lane, ready to go out around this venue once again then. Going to be quite a lot of fun. 19 minutes and 49 seconds on the clock it will be. And then it will be the cars heading back out to see who can take pole position. I don't expect it to be the last of the red flags, however. I think we are going to get quite a few more, considering how this runs. They will turn it up a notch. We've seen it across F2 and F3 qualies. They're going to turn it up a little bit, which of course makes it even harder, which makes the mistake chances even higher. These drivers were just binding themselves into this session at this moment, so it gets to another level in terms of pushing. Okay, session will resume at 7 local time. That is 6 if you are watching in the UK. Of course, this is going out in a premiere mode, but 6 PM Friday UK time is when this session will resume. 7 local at Monaco, as I mentioned. Okay, green lights on, timer is ticking once again, and the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup is go for the qualifying session with just under 20 minutes to go on the clock. And it's going to be really fascinating to see how this is going to play out as well. Also, I would like to give a little shout out to Kai Pista coming into this. He is a driver who's having his first race in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup, but it has always been his childhood dream to race around these streets, and it's great to see that that is coming into fruition and that he is going to get his chance. He's right now in 28. He'll hope to find a lap time, and he'll hope to be a bit of a factor this weekend, but it's great when childhood dreams come alive for these drivers. He's on an F1 weekend. He's racing around the Principality. It does not get better than that. Really great to see what he is doing. It's going to be quite a lot of fun. Okay, earlier on today as well, earlier on in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup on this Friday, we had a F1 Legends talk with David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen. It was at 4 PM local time in the Hospitality. So it was a great event for the Porsche Super Cup to have that talk with David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen. Of course, we mentioned Mika Hakkinen being our first winner around the Super Cup, around this in the Super Cup around this circuit. So it was great. It was a great event for the Porsche Super Cup to have an F1 Legends talk. So they all had fun before this qualifying session a couple of hours ago.
Monaco is a place where you need to stay alive as long as possible in qualifying in order to make sure you will start in the best position possible, and to be always well placed before or after a red flag. What makes also Monaco special is that in a Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup we have a day off, which is kind of team building, because we can be all together having great party and great time, and not too much work on the following day, hopefully, if qualifying went well.
Oh, well, I thought that answer was heading in the direction. Of course, you can see my reactions live when it's happening. We don't usually get that. But you can see how I'm reacting to it live at the moment. Let's hear from Ariel Levy.
But if we are currently sitting P8, we're looking mostly for time in sector 2. We will find it now, don't worry. Good man, that's the spirit.
Brilliant. Ariel Levy says he will find the time in the middle part of the lap. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Dehaan's improving in the first sector. Okay, what I was about to say was, I thought that answer was heading in a direction of, we get to review data, we get to look at all of this, we get to look at ways to improve before Grand Prix Sunday. And none of that. It's all partying. It's all partying for the pole sitter around the streets of Monaco. Yeah, it is great that the Supercup does get a day off. Formula 1 used to get a day off, but of course they don't party to be on the Thursday anymore. Robert Dehaan momentarily getting impeded. That's going to be a big issue, traffic. And just remember one thing, you've got 28 drivers all out here. Formula 3 are split into groups, Formula 2 split into groups. What are we doing here? 28 making their way through. We've already lost, as we mentioned, Cas Havercourt. Right, Robert Dehaan up towards the line. Let's hear from him first.
Jaap van Lagen impeding. Stop.
Jaap van Lagen impeding is what the message is from Robert Dehaan. We've got a Proton Huber competition car of Gus Burton going very quickly in the middle sector. It's not an improvement in the first. Burton across the line. What does he do? Not an improvement in the last sector as well. That's 9th. Traffic a big issue. So you don't know where it's fading away from the drivers. Ascona to 9th. For the Hadeca Racing team, who made their debut, the first Spanish team in the Porsche Formula 1 Supercup. Flint Schuring through the Nouvelle chicane over those sausage curves at turn number 10. The number 12 part of Schumacher CLRT really found himself attacking, defending on that safety car restart at Imola. Robert Dehaan, who we're now looking through on a slow-mo, did not get that opportunity due to the incident that he had, along with many others on that opening tour, but he's definitely having all the fun of riding over those sausage curves. Okay, Burton making his way on the exit. It's half a tenth out there between Tauscho's in the pit lane and Robert Dehaan. Nearly 800ths between Overhouse and Tauscho, so it's close between our top three. It's Huub van Eindhoven in 4th, and yeah, Van Lagen in 5th, massively over those sausage curbs. In terms of cutting the chicane very nearly, I thought he was going to do, was Gus Burton. What is the second sector time looking like? He's down by 2.5 tenths of a second, so not what he wants. We take a look at some more slow-mos of him making his way through. Full push, full attack for Gus Burton. The lap times need to come. You never know when you're going to get an interruption around this circuit. It may be that we get a late red flag, we get a late yellow, and the session cannot resume. You need a good banker like Alexander Tauscher has at the moment. This lap puts Burton in 9th position, so he's into the top 10. He'll want higher though. He'll want to be further in contention in this session. Okay. Burton making his way through down to the Nouvelle. And we're going to take a look at a replay of what I was referring to earlier on in terms of him going majorly over the curbs, the British driver. The driver who is part of Team Huber, Proton Huber competition, of course. We were just referencing them a moment ago. Dehaan improving in that first part of the lap. It's all about, does the traffic, which I can see in my picture at the moment, get out of the way by the time that we get down to that part of the circuit. Into Tabac we go, taking the wide line. The yellow flags are flying around the circuit. Will Dehaan get affected? Will Dehaan be able to continue on? What about Klein? So both Lechner racing cars are finding the improvement. Dehaan improving in both opening sectors of the lap. Klein is also going quickly in the second sector. Through the Rascas, red flag. Robert Dehaan will not be able to complete the lap, and he couldn't come into the pit lane immediately either. And that's going to be a disappointment for Robert Dehaan. We've got the red flags out around this circuit. We will try and work out why that is hard into the wall. And that will be for Aaron Mason in the number 17 car. That's Frank Porter Ruiz, actually. That is Frank Porter Ruiz, as the graphic also comes up to correct that. That is hard into the wall, and that will definitely require barrier damage. That will definitely require a fix to the barrier, is what I'm trying to say at the moment. Could be here for a while. So yeah, the Tech Pro barriers you hear from the commentary. The car's gone inside that barrier. We're hoping, yeah, to see if the driver is okay. That's our main priority at this stage. Okay, heading down to turn number 1. It's going to be a big spin. And then is he going to get clattered? Oh, it's not what you want. Schuring has to stop. Oh, no. Okay, good. Oh, he's gone hard into the wall later on in the lap. I thought for a second that he was going to be clattered in a big with major speed. But they showed the wrong replay, did FOM. So we got to the right replay. It's a huge incident anyway, even without getting a clatter by another car, as we momentarily thought with how the replay was heading. But he's lost it and completely gone hard into that Tech Pro. We're just waiting to hopefully see if the driver is okay. Just waiting for confirmation. Hopefully he'll be out of the car. The marshals go on to check on Frank Porter Ruiz. A driver who of course found himself trying to contend at Imola. He's the first driver from Andorra as well in the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup. So we're into the recovery phase now. So yeah, we're going to have to get that car out and then the barrier repair will take place. We'll be going through that entire procedure. But yes, the red flag's out. It gives us a moment to quickly reflect on what we've seen so far and run you through our timing board. So Tausch has remained quickest of all. Dehaan in second. Overhouse in third. And then it was Hu van Eindhoven in fourth. Jaap van Lagen in fifth. Marvin Klein is in sixth. And then it's Havercourt in seventh. Masters in eighth. Ascona in ninth. And Ariel Levy has the possession of 10th at the moment. So, the plan that he had of finding the time in the second sector, well, that's going to have to come in a few moments' time, rather. That'll have to come in a few moments when we do get back out there and we continue on with action in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. To the braking zone we go. With Robert Dehaan, of course, these drivers just finishing off in terms of getting themselves back to the pit lane, which is absolutely what they need. And then we get to the music phase. Here we go. We're going to be kept entertained in the red flag, everybody. Who doesn't like the entertainment during the red flag? But yes, Marvin Klein has been on pole position in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup 4 times. Jaap van Lagen twice. Robert Dehaan has been on pole once in his Super Cup career. And of course, Theo Overhouse is also going to get the same thing applied to him, as he was able to score that pole a week ago around Imola. So, Lechner Racing just changing those Michelin tyres, putting on a new set. Dehaan waiting for the opportunity. So we're just taking a look at some of the shots, and great to see Porter Ruiz walking away after that incident. You never want a big crash like that taking place. There'll be some medical checks. We'll hope that he is okay and everything is all good. And now we'll get hopefully to the barrier repairs. And barrier repairs that will be quick so we can get back going. As I mentioned, it is a very good thing. A very good thing indeed, everybody, that we aren't in the slot of Formula 3 sprint race and Formula 1 practice. Because if we were, like we usually are, we're not finishing the session at all. It would be delayed, it would be shortened, it would be red flagged even more, it would not go well. And after what we've seen in F2 and F2 with the issues 1 week ago, the last thing you want is a red flag. And to be fair, I have to say well done to the drivers in the field last time out at Imola, to be able to keep it clean and to make sure that we of course didn't have any red flags in that qualifying session. Okay, so in the Super Cup, the only driver on the grid who has won around the circuit was Jaap van Lagen. That was in 2015, so that was a stat that just came on screen, but of course I mentioned you that stat way earlier on in the broadcast, everybody. So yes, the marshals brilliantly going to work clearing that Porsche car right now. Right, we're going to take a look at a replay. So it was Aaron Mason who spun. Okay, right, this is what's happened. Aaron Mason spun and he blocked the pit lane entry. That is what happened. So did two incidents happen at once between the teammates? So the Martinet by Alvarez cars. Did two things happen at once? You had Aaron Mason spinning, pit exit, and then you had Porter Ruiz losing the car later on in the lap. So two incidents happening at once for the same team. And yeah, okay, I think that's why FOM messed it up then in terms of their graphics they put on Aaron Mason. Which, I mean, you know, It's the Porsche Supercup. We aren't able to properly identify the cars as of yet. We need the good angle. So if I get a graphic saying it's Aaron Mason, and I know Aaron Mason drives for that exact team, I'm going to assume that it was Aaron Mason. So apologies for that misidentification, everybody. But yeah, with the graphic that came up, and I couldn't identify a car number myself at the time, so it's like I'm gonna have to trust Form on this one, and then you know it can usually go either way. You can sometimes trust them and it go all right, but sometimes absolutely not. But to be fair, fair play to them. They had the two things happen at once, and the other incident is probably what they were trying, is probably what they were thinking they were gonna cut to, but of course this one took priority. So with two incidents at once, it's like, you know, some people probably are thinking in the gallery, oh, we're cutting to this, and then it's slightly different for the other side. But yeah, it was the driver of Frank Portieri's. Yeah, just to confirm, in case anyone is wondering, as I know I haven't been too clear on things, it was Aaron Mason who lost it at Sanderot on the exit, and it's Ruiz who's found the wall later down in the lap. Right before we go down the hill, which is of course where Cas Havercourt had that moment where he found himself out earlier on, where there's been oil. So the clearance goes on. There's a big team of marshals all out there because they know that they've got a barrier to repair. Heavy things these Porsche Supercup cars are. These Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. And the race director this weekend is Peter Roberts. The steward is Richard Norbury. And Christian Menzel is the driver advisor this weekend. He's a 3-time Porsche Carrera Cup champion. 1 in Germany and 2 in Asia. So a big moment around this 3.37 kilometer circuit, 2.074 miles. We've got 28 drivers this time around here on the streets of Monaco from 12 different countries, 4 of them being rookies. And then you've got 6 non-permanent drivers as well, who secured themselves drive for selected events this week for this season in the Super Cup, the 33rd running. And it's great to see that we're supporting the Formula 1 bill once again, and we will at least continue to do so till 2030. And hopefully it'll be extended, because this is motor racing history, everybody. Having the Super Cup is just brilliant on the weekend. Of course, you have your F2, you have your F2, you have your F1 Academy. This is completely something different on the F1 weekend, and it's great to have this exclusively supported, because it means it gets F1 TV coverage, it gets Sky Sports coverage, even though Sky Sports coverage is, you know, only the race, but you get what I'm trying to say here. We get some good coverage. It's a great championship, and it's great that Formula 1 really care about it and give it the attention that they need. Of course, doesn't properly connect it doesn't properly connect like all of the other support series in terms of F2, F3, and F1 Academy to Formula 1. But it's not meant to connect. It's something just completely different. It's a great thing for the Super Cup to be racing on the streets of Monaco, and it's a great way to hold the last bit of on-track action before F1.
Challenging for our contenders is simply the fact that our car doesn't have any ABS. And therefore, to keep it under control while at the same time you drive at the absolute limit is something, yes, that is a big challenge for the drivers, but talking from the outside, it's definitely a very entertaining challenge for us to watch.
Yeah, not for the drivers, but as Oliver Schraub describes to you, for us, it's all action. When drivers are fighting away with the wheel, left, right, it's all action behind the wheel. It's always incredible. It's always exciting to watch. Okay, barrier repair now going on, everybody. As the Martinez by Alvarez cars gets cleared, and then we're getting to the barrier repairs, and hopefully the green flags will be able to fly once again in this session, and hopefully we'll be able to continue on and get going. This is our second red flag on the streets of Monaco, by the way, so far in this qualifying session in terms of our stoppages, and we will hopefully get some momentum going and hopefully be able to get a run. Because that's what we want at the end of the day. It's been a long session, and what we want to end it off with is a great fight for pole. But those are the margins which everyone's at risk, basically. I guess Alex Brundle, if you were watching Formula 2 qualifying yesterday, Alex Brundle described it brilliantly. If you are going to have a crash on Monaco, have it at the end. Because what you can say to yourself then is that you were able to push to an elite level and push to another level where it was really, really tight and it was really, really close for the driver. So if you are going to have a crash around the streets of Monte Carlo, then have it at the end of the session. You can at least, of course, say to the team that, you know, we were pushing on hard. It shows how much you were desperate for it. It shows your talent, it shows your class. And that's where usually it can go wrong, when drivers are pushing to a level which isn't there. But around Monaco, the challenge that the drivers have combined with how fast they need to push, it's a great challenge to watch for us, definitely. It is all action behind the wheel though, and lots of work going on to try to secure themselves the fastest time when the margins are so close. When it was 0.08 of a second separating our top three. Yes, it's a short circuit, yes, you expect that, but it's a circuit in which it's so challenging that you are going to see the field separated by quite a bit. You are going to see the talented ones and the ones who are not even about talented really. I'd say it's just about extracting the different oh my god, what on earth are we seeing here? All of the marshals, absolutely everyone down there having to push the barrier, get some support going. It's the Super Cup, it is qualifying, and I mean, I'm talking about all action behind the wheel. It's all action for the marshals. They're having to get a whole group of people to push that barrier. Just Monaco stuff, everybody. Monaco stuff. The Principality. You get the full effect of all sorts of action as we get that car cleared now. And we finalize the barrier repair and wait for a time for this podcast to stop and for us to get back to the green flags. Absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What a session this is turning into, everybody. But it's gonna be a really, really interesting resumption, I'm 100% able to say, as the sun will of course start to set soon here in Monaco. This is the last on-track action, as I mentioned, of the day. Jaap van Lagen, I cannot wait to see what he is able to do. Really looking forward to seeing what he manages. The driver, one of the most experienced ones in the Super Cup, of course. And he currently sits 8th in the championship. Can he improve that? He's currently in 5th. He'll be hoping for a good result. And everyone would have used the opportunity when they saw so many of our top contenders fade in that race. Both Lechners, as we mentioned, those were two of your big ones. Tauscher at the same time. So many contenders, and of course there was lots of others as well. But when so many contenders have an incident like that, like we had Tauscher, we had Borokamps, we had Braschi, Imperato, Jalbert, Giretti, Fastante, who of course we of course talked about him earlier on in the broadcast, Klin and Robert Dehan. When you have all of those drivers have an issue, there's so many contenders gone. And if you are to look to a championship contender this year, your eyes go to Dehan, your eyes go to Klin. Those type of drivers is who you look to. And now, entering himself into conversation as Form also show us at the same time, Theo Overhaus, who Van Eindhoven, the driver in 4th right now in this session. He'll want to fight and get himself an opportunity. So will Walter Borokamps. He'll try recover after round 1 that he wouldn't have wanted, of course with the crash, but I mean more in terms of the pace level that he was able to show. He'll hope that he's able to get more up there, and that's exactly what you need in Monaco. He's right now 17th. Gianmarco Cruz-Mini, we mentioned him earlier on in the broadcast as he returns back to the Super Cup in place of Aldo Fastante. He's in 18th right now though. The green flags are back out in terms of the track is clear. We're not actually going though. Session will resume at 7:23 local time, 6:23 in the UK here on this Friday. And it's Fiat back right now, just in the pit lane as well, as we can hear the trackside commentary in the background as well, which of course isn't being able to be cut off right now by the engine sounds of the Super Cup. They are the loudest thing on this weekend. But in a few moments that's about to change, because we're about to get them out on the circuit. So the trackside commentary will stop, and it immediately does when we go and check inside the car. Where we go and check inside the car with Keegan Masters. Can he master this Monaco circuit? What about Matisse Jalbert? Has seen two of his teammates have moments on the circuit, but I'm finally happy to say that we have the green flags and cars out on the circuit with 13 minutes to go on the clock in the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup. Out onto the circuit we're gonna go, and our battle for pole position will resume. Thank God we are not in that FP3 and Formula 3 sprint gap, because if we were, this session is basically it's cooked. Basically it's cooked, let's just say. For a certain bit of terminology, it's basically done. We aren't getting much done here. So I'm really happy that we're doing this on the last day, which I think is one of the advantages. And I think it's good, because when we consider Formula 3, when we consider Formula 2 and the Super Cup, all of them, I think F2 and F3 pretty much behave themselves in terms of previous years, but like, when you come here, when you have a look at an overview, it's like, okay, F2 and F3 and the Super Cup, they're all going to have major issues. They're all going to be finding themselves, you know, finding the wall possibly and issues like that. You cannot have. It's a busy schedule, and if you are going to see so many incidents like this, what we're seeing in the Super Cup session, then you're risking not running at all. You're basically risking not running at all in the Super Cup. So it's like the session will not resume even with 10 minutes to go, or well, 13 minutes at the time, just because of how long we've been delayed. So it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that here in the Super Cup and in F2 and F3. So it's great that we get a special Friday. Of course, it's special that these drivers are the only ones on the circuit along with F2 and F3 on Thursday. That's already special as it is. And it's good that we can use the 4-day weekend for the support series still, even though we don't do it now for F1, where they had Friday as a break. Thursday they were running out there on the circuit. They've moved that back to how it usually is in Formula 1 at every other weekend bar sprint rounds. But it's great that the Super Cup, F2 and F3 are all able to enjoy themselves with just the qualifying on the Friday. It frees up our schedule. It means that every session can finish on time, can run on time. And we can incorporate red flags and issues like that, which is really great to see. Up the hill we go. With Dihan to Massenet, of course. To the braking zone. So 10 minutes and 10, wait for it, there you go, 10 minutes, 10 seconds to go on our clock. Loads of cars making their way through the hairpin at the moment. They will all have to spread themselves out before they get pushing. Yeah, Van Lagen in our picture, the number 4, the Proton Huber competition car. Can he join his teammate after a brilliant performance? Can he return back to pole position? Jaap Van Lagen, what a special moment this would be. He right now finds himself 2.5 tenths, just over that off the pace. Jaap Van Lagen has been on pole position twice in the Super Cup. Hockenheim 2008 and Monaco 2015. It's going to be a special return back to the box seat for the race start on Sunday. Well, we're about to get a lap going with Jaap Van Lagen as we go up to Massenet now, climbing up to one of the highest points of the circuit, rotating the car through, close to the wall. You don't want to hit the wall though, like Cas Havercourt did at this part of the circuit. He is millimeters away every single time he makes his way through this part of the lap, and he's not improving in the first sector on his personal best, but he is going quicker than what Alexander Tauscher has managed so far. Down through the hairpin we go, applying the power, about to get to Portier, taking a wide line, because with that wide line you're able to carry the momentum. Oh, he's very close to the wall, through Portier. The wide line gives you the momentum down this straight. It's an important line for the race if you have any opportunity to make an overtake, and it's an important line here as well in the Super Cup in this qualifying to extract everything you can. He's fighting away with the car on the exit of the Nouvelle chicane. All action behind the wheel of Jaap van Lagen. Down to tarmac we go. Overhouse improving in the first sector. Jaap van Lagen's lap has faded away. So that mistake, and it was scruffy, it's not helped. Through the swimming pool chicane, we're going to continue riding on board so we can show you a full lap around Monaco. We're going to go off board now. Directly in behind, Overhouse is pushing. Teo Overhouse is pushing. Okay, well, due to red flags around this circuit, you never know when is your last opportunity. So for some drivers, this might be it. In case we get a red flag later on, Teo Overhouse to pole position by nearly 7/10 of a second. That is an extraordinary lap, trying to make it 2 in a row. Our championship leader pushing on hard around this venue, and he's found the time that no one else has been able to. Still 7 minutes and 30 seconds. But getting that banker in, getting that lap time in, so vital in case we do get red flags. We've had long delays so far, so you never know when could be your last moment here in this qualifying session. This is Jaap van Lagen heading down to the Nouvelle chicane, and it's exactly what we mentioned in terms of him missing the chicane. So he made his way through. Did Jaap van Lagen. Vital stuff. This in the Porsche Supercup. Ariel Levy pushing on as well in the GP Elite. He'll want to get himself to second. He'll want to upgrade that to pole. He's about down by 5.5 of a second at the moment though. He's got some traffic ahead of a Schumacher CLRT car that will surely get in the way. That's Alessandro Giretti that's directly in front. So does Ariel Levy find his improvement to second place? If he's been able to keep the 5/10 gap, he could find himself to second place. Let's find out across the line. Giretti to fourth, displaced immediately by Levy, who goes directly ahead, and he now takes that fourth position. Jaap van Lagen on the attack again. He's down in the middle sector, across the line. He improves to second place. Proton Huber competition, 1 and 2, and he's going to go straight off. Off the road, disappointment for Jaap van Lagen. He's going to go straight on. He's had his lap time deleted. It's all gone wrong for Jaap van Lagen. He'll try continue on. Robert De Haan going quickest of all. In the middle, in the first sector, to the second sector he's improving. Burton goes to third. Up to second place goes Keegan Masters. He's missed out on pole by 0.2 of a second. On board with Robert De Haan, trying to extract all of the lap time. Close to the wall, through Anthony Nose, bringing it up through the gears. Robert De Haan trying to get to pole in the Super Cup, and Robert De Haan takes it for the moment. De Haan ahead by 55,000ths of a second, and he's now going to go wide as well. I think they're all using it as a bit of a line. They're all using it as a line to... They aren't all able to slow down after how much they're pushing on the lap. Klin to third. Here's Alexander Tauscher. Tauscher making his way through. Yellow flags are flying again. This could be one of the last opportunities in case, well, we get a red flag even after we continue the session. They would have time to restart this, but who knows with how this is going to run. Tauscher stays in 7th. Why do we have this yellow is what we're going to be wondering. Giretti goes to 5th. Levy to 8th. A vital part of the session, and off the road we go with Francesco Braschi. He has come to a halt, and the red flag flies with 4 minutes and 44 seconds to go. It's De Haan, Overhouse, Klein, Masters, and Giretti, our top 5. Here we go. This is gonna set ourselves up for a thrilling finale to the session, unless you get another red flag, which is why that run was so important. Everyone's in a rush. They're not able to properly generate the tires by the time that the session resumes. So it's like when we do eventually get going. It's like, what is the guarantee that they're going to be able to generate the tires and keep it clean in the way that they need to? But yeah, that will hurt for Francesco Braschi, one of the drivers who was involved in the incident at Imola a week ago. And his car will be recovered very, very shortly. So that's going to be quite a lot of fun. See how the session is going to play out. Race number 328 in the Super Cup. Okay, we're taking a look at Klein making his way through, and further back we're going to get the clutter into the wall for Francesco Braschi. So it's not a technical issue like we maybe thought it might be with him coming to a stop on the circuit. Instead, it was a clatter off the wall. This was Jan van Logan going deep into Sandoval, which we saw Robert Dehan do, so I was concerned initially that he was going to find the wall, but, oh, I think, did he find the wall? Did he touch it? Did he just miss out? I mean, his car's okay, that's the good thing. Michele Ascona through the swimming pool section. Are we going to get a bit more sausage cup action? You bet we are. Car into the air. For him. This was Gus Burton locking up. So who are we going to be handing the 25 points to the win tomorrow? Our youngest driver in the field, Janne Stiak, at 18 years of age. Let's hear from Dehan. Don't believe we heard that, unfortunately. Didn't unfortunately hear that radio by Robert Dehan, so that happened in the Super Cup last time, but there was some issues that we weren't able to hear the radio, so apologies for that one. But I mean, he's the current pole sitter, he doesn't know what's going to happen, so I mean, I was going to try and maybe fill you in on possibly where that conversation could have gone, but you know, there's so many possibilities when you actually think about it. But I can imagine it's something about keeping his head down maybe, and trying to keep it clean most of all. We're talking about the chance of red flags, talking about the chance of yellows, other stuff like that. Let's hear from him again. Let's see if we can get it.
P1 at the moment. Yes, boy! Come on!
Well, I mean, I did tell you that, you know, that could have gone anyway. And for some reason, I thought it was actually a good idea to actually try predict it. Which, you know, now that Form did give us the radio, it wasn't the best idea. So it's pole position for him. Oh my god. Okay. Well, he's celebrating. No, none of that. No information. Not like we have 4 minutes and 44 seconds on the clock to go. It is all celebration. Robert Dehan has got himself to the front. And that might be in the back of his head. Session will resume at 7:37 local time. Momentarily my heart dropped because I literally thought that session will not resume. And I'm like, no, we're not doing this. This is the last on-track action, everybody. There's no way we do not get this one back going. Can they all keep it clean though? Porsche Juniors in the field. Alessandro Giretti, the number 11, of course, part of Schumacher CLRTs in his second year. Theo Overhouse, his first year. There's a reason why he was picked, and you didn't need to wait long to find out why. He showed it at the first opportunity in qualifying. First competitive session, turned up, took pole. Second competitive session, turned up, took the win. Third, is he going to get there? The man who's denying him is Robert Dehan, who set a 1 minute 33.104. That's the lap time to beat. Dehan will still have time to find He'll Believe, because the third sector he set a yellow, so not an improvement on his own side. So He'll Believe that there's more time to find. I'm really hoping that on the final run that we aren't seeing drivers purposely go off the road in terms of down into Sandoval, because I know they're finishing the laps and no one's slowing it down in time, so they're all ending up going off the road. So it's like, if we still have time remaining in the session, like for people who are trundling around, if there is a permanent yellow and the driver down there isn't able to properly get it turned around, then you know it can impede other lap times. And also, I mean, everyone's going to be arriving, everyone's going to be close together. There's not a lot of time to work with here. You're all going to be pushing on, they're all going to be close together, meaning that if one goes wide, another could go, and then we have a crash down at the runoff, which is not what anyone wants at all. We are guaranteed a new champion this year. We mentioned it last week. The green flags are flying back, by the way. We're back onto this circuit. But yeah, I mentioned this last time. We are guaranteed a new champion by the end of this year. You've had Larry Tenford step away, we've had Harry King step away, and it means that the Super Cup in 2025 is wide open. It's going to be action-packed, it's going to be exciting, even if maybe Monaco doesn't really show that in terms of the race, in terms of overtaking. It is Monaco. That is going to be a common theme across all the series. If we do get any overtakes, then they're special, they're glamorous, and they're ones the drivers will savor forever. It makes the overtake special. It makes a major moment that happens in the race very special as well. It's not your usual overtaking fest, which we'll hopefully get in a week's time at Barcelona. With, of course, the Supercup also being able to now properly get to use that no chicane through the last few corners, so they'll have it a little bit more flowing. Hopefully it'll allow a little bit more side by side. That's one less sausage cup that they get to go over though for these drivers, but that's fine. We're gonna get action. We're gonna get excitement in the Super Cup. Jonas Greif still in that pit lane. GP Elite driver, the number 21. Right now, while everyone else trundles around. Overhouse has also just left the pit lane. So a few drivers going out a little bit late, just allowing themselves to bind time. Remember, we've got so many contenders out there on the circuit, meaning everyone just needs to bind their time and get themselves prepared and ready. So let's see how this one's going to go then. Cats Havercourt found himself down to 15th, everybody, by the way. So he's found himself down to 15th. Let's see then how this one is going to play out as we make our way through them. So some drivers just about to get on the push. We're taking a look at Jaap van Lagen. Oh, big moment though it was for him, because I thought he was going to find the wall, unlike Dehan where he just properly, it looked in control that he was going wide, but with Jaap van Lagen it was like, slow it down before he hits the wall, and he just about avoided it without anything major. Maybe a little graze, maybe the littlest graze, which, I mean, I can't see anything from the front, so it was all okay. He didn't hit it and he just missed it. An experienced driver got his brakes on in time that he needed. Brilliant to hear, brilliant to watch and see. These Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars on the attack, pushing on around this circuit. It's always exciting, it's always action-packed in the Super Cup, and that's what we love about it. Dirk Schouten, and well, he's not had the best time, has he? You have to really feel for Dirk Schouten. Well, he managed to get to 11th last time. He's pushing on this lap, actually, is Dirk Schouten. A driver with nearly 1 million followers on social media, on so many different platforms. A really talented man behind the wheel as well. He does some great content on his YouTube channel as well. A driver who was involved in a big crash when it came to the Carrera Cup a few weeks ago at Spa. Right now, though, in the Super Cup, he's up to 8th position as Skona got a lap time in and he's directly ahead in 7th. Teo Overhouse is the driver to watch. He's the driver in 2nd place. He's not improving in the 1st sector though. Everyone around the circuit trying to push on to see whether they can get on terms with pole sitter, Lechner Racing driver Robert Dehan. Yellow flags are flying where Keegan Masters is improving in the 1st sector. Oh, Overhouse over the road to the Nouvelle chicane. 15 seconds to go. Overhouse is done. Sama Shaheen has spun. And we've got another spinner as well. And that is going to be out of the way for our GP Elite driver further back. Will the yellow flags clear in time? It's going to be vital for Keegan Masters. Do the yellow flags clear in time? By the time Masters gets down there, this is going to be everything. Oh, Keegan Masters into the wall. The driver who was going quickest of all in the 1st sector finds the barrier, and that is going to cost him. He was pushing on hard. He was trying to find something special. The yellow flags are flying because this GP Elite driver, the number 22 of Walter Borkamps, is slow. Can anyone improve? It's going to be another session which is going to... the green flags are flying now, but... everyone was impeded. Is there any driver who can find something at the end? Is there anyone who was much more later down in the lap, more earlier on in the lap rather, that is going to be able to finish at time? Borkamps will lose it. Someone's going to get on the brakes and get collected with that. It wasn't a clout with the wall. It was for Masters, of course. Rearranging our camera down there. at the same time, but not for anyone else in terms of on the circuit. But after all of that, it was a bit of an anticlimactic finish after it looked so competitive, after it looked like we were going to get so many improvements. The yellow flag ruins it. But to be fair, it didn't look like anyone other than Keegan Masters had a chance. But Keegan Masters, to be fair, just made a mistake himself at the same time. So it wouldn't have been the fastest time for Keegan Masters no matter what. So I don't know if anyone had the time to improve. Well, that's why it was important to put the lap time in when you did. And that's why I was emphasizing how important it was for Robert Dehan to get that lap time. There's the reason why. Because after nearly, well, we are 1 hour plus on this recording at the moment of the Super Cup qualifying session, it just shows you. Let's hear from our pole sitter.
It's done, mate. It's done. You are on pole. You are on pole. Yes, boy. Finally. Yes. Oh, Monaco pole sitter. Oh my God.
He's got that title and he will savor it. Well, they were talking about how the party will go on tomorrow. There we go. That's how that party will go. Unfortunately, the Sector 2 time that Aria Levy was going to try find has not come his way. He's in 11th. Oh man, Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup is going to be quite something tomorrow. I cannot wait to see what on earth is going... Well, on Sunday rather. I'm so used to this qualifying session being on Saturday, of course. But no, on Sunday. We get a day break for the celebrations for Dehan. Overhouse having to practice on the sim. His race start, he'll need to perfect that if he wants a chance of winning. It's going to be so exciting. Cannot wait to see how it's all going to play out. Okay. Well, our contender's coming into the pit lane then. Let's hear from our driver in second.
It's over. P2. It's over. Good job, guys. Really good job. Really didn't expect that, but yeah, we can be really proud.
Yeah, I think he can be really proud indeed. A superb performance, a superb job, and he deserves that moment. He deserves it quite a lot. You're not always going to be on pole when it's so competitive. Do remember, this is the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. So as we mentioned, it won't be easy, and you're not going to get dominance like we've possibly seen in previous years by drivers like Larry Tenforda. This year it's highly competitive. This year it's close, and that is what we love about the Super Cup then. But Robert Dehan, a second time pole sitter now. He got his first at the end of 2024 at Monza. He's got his second near the start of the season in only round 2 around the streets of Monaco, but this one just means more. Right, we're taking a look at the replay of Anders Fieldback. We're looking further back to Klein, to Dehan. Fieldback goes wide. What are we trying to see here? So yeah, ahead we see Anders Fieldback run wide himself and goes through the runoff at the end of the Nouvelle. I think everything was just okay. I think we were just seeing that moment for Anders Fieldback from a couple of different angles. But yeah, Robert Dehan, I mean, he'll be celebrating. And his teammate directly in front of him at that moment. Marshals have done a brilliant job today. The drivers have done a brilliant job. And if you did not have the time that you wanted, you'll try fight back. So Cass Havercourt only dropped to 16th. It could have been way worse in my opinion if there wasn't for so many red flags, but he'll still be happy that he is in 16th considering how early on he had that shunt. And that's the thing about Monaco, whether it's traffic, whether it's red flags, whether it's yellows, so many runs were interrupted. And by this mistakes, that's an important thing. Every driver was having issues themselves behind the wheel. No matter what the issue was, sometimes a 30-minute qualifying session, which had a lot of it spent building up to lap times, just won't go your way and just will not be enough to find the lap time that you want, to find the lap time that you require. And that's why we are going to have lots of angry faces, loads of happy faces though. And that's why I think Theo Overhouse will be relieved that he also got the lap time in early. Which, you know, you want to be on pole. He'll be disappointed. He, of course, always wants to be on pole. So does Klein. But they will know what's gone on in this session. And they will be happy that at least they are on that front few spots on the grid. Let's run you through the results then in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. It's our round 2 qualifying session. By 0.5 of a second, Robert Dehan takes pole, and it's Overhouse in second, the German driver. Marvin Klein in third, Keegan Masters is in fourth, and then it's Alessandro Gueretti, who finds himself in fifth. Tausch is in sixth, Hu van Eindhoven is in seventh, and then it's Ascona, Schuten, and Burton in 10th. Levy, Schuring, Jabert, Brasky, Jaap van Lagen finds himself in 6th, 15th, Kasavikort in 16th, then it's Borakamps, Stiak, Kurosmini, and then it's Freimet, Deli Granti, Fieldback, and Parato, Mason, Shaheen, Porte Ruiz, who found the wall earlier on, so did Greif, and Kai Pista find himself at the back of the field. Well, it has been some qualifying session. It's been some long qualifying session as well. You know, I mean, solo is never easy. But when I've got the brilliant audience on the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup and I've got brilliant scenes by Formula 1 management, it's absolutely lovely. Well, that is it. We thank absolutely everyone for joining us here in the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup qualifying session. It has been action-packed, it has been exciting, it has been dramatic as per normal, and it's led us to a road which sees Robert Dehan start alongside championship leader Theo Overhouse. Can Overhouse extend his championship lead, or will Dehan make his mark properly in 2025? You'll have to join us to find out. Goodbye.